We checked out Corsair's party, and there were lots of interesting items available, some new things, and a lot of hype. And I guess one of the things that I want to commend them on first of all, is everyone seems to rely on go-go dancers and whatever. If you're a go-go dancer, go have fun. I thought it was cool that they did something a little different. They had some guys twirling around lasers instead.
That was a very interesting aspect, though it blinded me on several occasions when they shot me in the face with the lasers. It reminded me. It reminded me of a Rabbit in the Moon stage show, crossed with like a bionic. I don't know, like a bionic ballerina kind of thing.
With dubstep.
With dubstep, yeah. it was actually really cool, and they had a couple of these like dual-sided laser pens that they made it look like they had lightsabers. It was really cool light show, and it was just a big dance number, and it was very cool. I was digging it.
Yeah, so of course, Corsair is showing us that you do not have to use scantily clad women to sell hardware. So thank you very much. No. They really talked about the Bulldog, and they're going on and on about 4K gaming in the living room. And I think the reason that they were talking about that so much is because this is an ITX system. It's sort of a bare bones system that's supposed to live in your living room. It's aggressive and it's really big for an ITX system. And I think that's why they kept saying 4K, is because you can put a graphics card in here that can actually handle 4K. You don't have to, but it's not like a lot of the tiny ITX systems where you really don't have the option to put a huge graphics card that can support 4K. So this will be a little different in that regard. Thus their whole drive for 4K gaming in the living room.
One of the stipulations they did make about 4K was that they were saying that their idea of functional 4K gaming as of right now is 40 frames per second plus.
Right.
And in their test rig, of course, this is
Titan X.
They're running with Titan X. And the fact that they're running a Titan X in this box was kind of impressive. Because it's not very big. There's not a lot of room for a lot of air movement and cooling. So they've got a GPU cooler and a CPU cooler that are all liquid cooling that they built for this case.
Yeah, so let's talk about what comes with the case real quick. So for $399, they've got a kit together where you get a mini ITX motherboard. It's going to be the next generation Intel with DDR4. Not a lot of details on that, so you're going to get that in the case. A custom 600 watt power supply. It's going to be an SFX power supply. Mm-hmm. Looks like the most efficient SFX ever made, according to them. You get the liquid CPU cooler that's custom, so you get that, and then you have to supply CPU storage, RAM, and all, and the GPU. And you can get their new GPU cooler. It's a brand new GPU cooler that will fit perfectly in here, but it does not come with the kit for $399. So yeah, I think the price is okay though.
They're claiming it to be a DIY kit, in the idea that I think the motherboard. The reason there's a vagueness on the motherboard is because I think there's going to be various motherboards that are going to be able to fit.
I don't know. I would imagine that they would make this available as a case or each individual piece, and they are releasing, the cooling units and also the SFX power supply as separate SKUs, so you can grab those if you want to, if you want to build a NAS and small power supply, if you want to build your own ITX rig or whatever. So I would imagine you could get this all as just individual components as opposed to bare bone, but the bare bone will probably be like a good value, and then you can build upon that. And I don't know about the motherboard. I'm not sure. Maybe it's only going to be one brand that they partnered with?
Maybe. I mean, there like I said, there wasn't a lot of specifications to it. So I'm just running with the let's play devil's advocate here. Mm-hmm. I don't think that they're going to say you buy this kit, you get this specific motherboard. I think that it's you buy this kit, you get a motherboard, and I think there's going to be a selection of motherboards you can choose from because for various functionality. And they may very well have a very specific one that they're looking for that fits in the case, that runs with the exact specifications, with the type, the amount of hard drives, and the amount of the amount of storage connectors that they have, and the space allotments and that kind of jazz.
They're really focusing on the living room.
I think that's a big thing that's been happening over the course of the last couple of years. You look at the Steam OS and you look at Steambox and the idea of PCs, and we've got the whole PC master race functionality that may be just kind of a level of satire, but the idea behind it is that PCs are more powerful. So why would you want to use a console in your living room on your giant 4K TV when you could just put a computer there? But then it's, well, what's wrong with having a computer in your living room? It's too loud. It's too big. It's obnoxious. You can't fit it into the right space. So let's put a small case that can handle 4K, a small case that can handle components that would be able to push 4K into your TV, And then you cross over into, well, how are you going to run with a mouse and keyboard? So they created the Lapdog. The Lapdog is a foam pad with a space for a K65, any of their K65 keyboards, and then it's got a built-in mouse pad, and it's got cable channels in the back so you can run the mouse cable into there. The keyboard cable is pretty much invisible, and then there's a USB 3 hub that everything plugs into, and then it's wired to your computer. And there was a conversation we had, is like wired or wireless, and we all know that when you go wireless, you start looking at input delays and whatnot, and is it the best gaming experience if you're sitting in your living room with a delay to your to your console?
A lot of the gaming controllers out there on the market are Bluetooth or some other form of wireless, and you do not hear people complaining about that.
There are several. I mean, there's several different brands that have some wireless gaming mice that are absolutely fantastic. I've used a couple myself, and they're really great. So I think that there's a 6 in one hand, half dozen in the other is wired versus wireless. I think that if you had a wireless like a wireless USB hub, that you were able to have the hub in the device and you could plug everything wired into that, and then it would wirelessly transmit to the Bulldog machine, I think that would be a good idea. But again, as long as you're not compromising input delay.
So right now, the way that it's going to come is with a really long cable. Now this, the Lapdog, it's got like a concave bottom. It sits on your lap. It's not made to like go over your lap. I've seen some of the ones that have like a pillow on each side of your lap and you like a flat surface on top. It's supposed to be a little bit more comfortable than that. I kind of like the way that they've done the mouse. You know, like the mouse is fed up to a little holding thing so that the cord doesn't drag or doesn't fall behind. It's always there, and there's almost going to be no drag on that. It just works.
And you can.
Was it okay? I mean, when you played it.
Yeah, when I was playing Crysis 3 in their test rig, and it was kind of funky because it was on a table, and the mouse was fine. It's you can shorten the cable right up to the point where you couldn't even slap it off of the end of the mouse pad because it's short enough, but it doesn't restrict a lot of movement. The bottom, the foam bottom of the Lapdog is got a
convex.
And convex, yeah. So it's got like a convex that would sit between your laps. So you'd sit this thing in your lap, and you would hold it kind of with your knees, and it would supposed to sit comfortably. So it's not like completely flat on your lap, but it will conform to your lap. So then you have the keyboard and the mouse on either side, and it's nice and wide. So I didn't get a chance to sit down and use it, but I'm pretty excited about this, because this is one of those devices that has always been, how do you game in your living room versus a console? How could you do this? What's the point of being able to sit down on a couch and actually goof off and play games? And this is the answer.
So we got to see some of these things before you guys did, and something that a lot of the companies like for us to do, because our audience is extremely useful as far as feedback goes, and they're helpful, and you guys are intelligent, and you also drive a lot of the market because a lot of you guys buy this stuff. So what do you want in this? Do you want it to be wireless? Do you want the Lapdog to be the way it is? Do you want more options as far as keyboards go? You can put pretty much any keyboard in there, but the K65 is like the perfect fit. Do you want like some sort of an ability for it to be modular? Do you want a K75 in there with the the keypad? Let us know these things, and we'll tell Corsair, and I'm sure Corsair will be in here reading the comments because you guys are awesome. And then also with the Bulldog, do you want a full machine in your living room, or would you rather have just a little small streaming box or something like that? What's more important to you? I know that both people are going to have a voice, and there's a market for both, but I'm just curious, which one do you like better? And let us know what you think of all these devices. Again, they're not out yet, and they may be able to do a few things to them. As it stands, I think it's an interesting initiative to go for the living room, go for 4K gaming in the living room, and I think they've made some pretty good choices here, but I'll leave it to you guys in the comments, because you guys are really the ones who are shaping the future of these companies.